Okay, I want to talk about sugar and carbohydrates. Ann actually came to a Reversing Diabetes Train the Trainer event that we held in Calhoun on November the 1st, 2014. About halfway through the afternoon, Ann came up to me and she said, "You know, I've been insulin-dependent diabetic for more than 30 years. Do you think I could reverse?" She says, "I didn't even know diabetes reversal was possible until I saw your ad." She says, "I'm a nurse." And she said, I came to the program and, I just wondered, after 30 years? And I said, well, theoretically, it's possible. But we do know that the longer you have had diabetes, the more difficult it is to reverse. But what do you have to lose? Worst case scenario, you're going to improve your health. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you're going to reverse your diabetes. Why not go home and give it a try? It was about 5 months later we received an email from Ann. And Ann said, "I just wanted you to know the rest of the story." She said, "I went home and put your program into practice. And 5 weeks later, my doctor took me off insulin." She says, "Now I'm off all diabetes medications. He's reduced my blood pressure medicines. I continue to lose weight." She told us how many pounds she had lost. I don't remember how many pounds that was. And she says, "I am feeling so much better." In fact, she was so excited about what she had done that she called together 8 of her friends with diabetes, and they had a little mini Reversing Diabetes Seminar right in her living room. And by the time when they were done with that, they were convinced that there was something to this, and so they went out into the community, and in their community they've since held at least 2 of these Reversing Diabetes programs. Catch the vision. Right now it's the fastest growing disease in all of human history. It's going to take literally thousands of us to do something about this and wind this up. So, let's spend a few minutes and talk about sugar. Sugar is really sweet danger. And as we approach the issue of sugar, a lot of people say, well, it's a natural substance, right? It comes from the sugar cane. Well, right at first it does. And after that, it becomes a processed chemical. Dr. David Rubin, author of Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Nutrition, says, "White refined sugar is not a food. It is a pure chemical extracted from plant sources, purer, in fact, than cocaine, which it resembles in many ways. Its true name is sucrose." Dr. Robert Lustig is a pediatric endocrinologist in Southern California, and he says that according to brain scans, sugar is as addictive as cocaine. Refining means to make pure by a process of extraction or separation. Sugars are refined by taking a natural food which contains a high percentage of sugar and then removing all of the elements of that food until only sugar remains. During the refining process, 64 food elements are destroyed. All the potassium, magnesium, calcium, iron, manganese, phosphate, and sulfate are removed. The A, D, and B vitamins are destroyed. During the food refining process, all of those things leave. So we have the B vitamins. B vitamins are actually required to be able to metabolize the sugar in the first place. So if you don't have the B vitamins, or if you don't have vitamin C, and you're eating something like sugar that requires those things in order to metabolize it, where are you going to get it? Also, robs us of nutrients, minerals, and calcium is even leached out of our bone and out of our teeth. This all leads us to eating binges. And because you're lacking a nutrient now in your diet, Your body is asking for it. How does your body ask for a nutrient? Yeah, you get hungry. You just got an A for today. You're going to get hungry. But when you eat the wrong foods in response to that hunger, so that you're not further getting those nutrients, what's happening? Making the problem worse. It makes the problem worse. It has nothing to do with its calories. Sugar is a poison by itself when consumed in high doses, Robert Lustig said. Those are some strong words. Because sugary foods often replace more healthful foods, diets high in sugar are almost certainly contributing to osteoporosis, cancers, and heart disease. That's according to Marion Nestle, who is one of the leading dietitians out there. And back in the 1800s, people were fairly slim and trim. But they ate, around the beginning of the 1800s, they were only eating about 10 pounds of sugar a year. Today, according to the USDA, we eat 152 pounds of sugar a year. But when we take the family photo, what do we look like? I think that it has some kind of bearing on what we're doing here. Americans eat too much and exercise too little because they're addicted to sugar, which not only makes them fatter, but after the initial sugar rush, also saps their energy, beaching them on the couch. The reason we're watching TV is not because TV is so good, but because you have no energy to exercise because you're eating too much sugar, Dr. Richard Johnson said. So, read labels. Learn to read labels. The sugar content of popular foods is always listed, and you'll have something right here. There you go. The American Heart Association recommends that we eat no more than 9 teaspoons of added sugar a day for men and 6 teaspoons for women. How many teaspoons is this? I don't know. That's a good answer. Okay, here's a clue. 4 grams of sugar equals 1 teaspoon. How many teaspoons of sugar is 24 grams? That's right. I'm hearing it all over the room. It's 6 teaspoons. So, in that one serving, we had the sum total of what one woman could eat in the course of a day, according to the American Heart Association. Americans get a whopping 25% of their calories, though, from sugar. And Americans are swallowing 20 teaspoons of sugar each day. It's time we cut way back. That's according to the American Heart Association. MSNBC said kids 14 to 18 consume not 22 teaspoons, but a whopping 34 teaspoons a day. So it's like we're teaching our kids to eat the sweet stuff. And Karen mentioned before the program began about a nurse that I work with, has a small little boy, and she, I was talking about how tastes need to be changed. And she just became downright angry with me. She says, listen, if you think for a minute that I'm going to feed my little darling something he doesn't like, you've got another thing coming. Well, excuse me, but children's tastes have to be changed, trained just like manners. They have to be taught to say please and thank you. You have to train them to like foods. It takes approximately 21 exposures to a new flavor to get used to it. My grandkids, I tell them, you don't have to eat it. You just have to take 2 bites. We have a 2-bite rule. You'll take 2 bites of everything that's put on the table. If you don't like it, you can quietly leave it on your plate. But you know what happens? Their tastes change rapidly, guys. It's not long till they're asking for seconds. They think grandma's the best cook in the whole world now. They used to complain about everything on the table. No, their tastes have changed. So anyway. So our young people, it's time we train the young people the right thing to eat. We have a growing obesity problem in our country today. And it's not these children's fault. Somebody is providing them the food that they're eating. Well, how much sugar is in common foods that we eat? Take, for instance, America's favorite candy bar. It has 5 3/4 teaspoons. Ladies, that's the sum total of what you can have for a course of a day, almost. Save a 1/4 teaspoon. That's your quota. Men can have just a dab more. Woo! But you move on down. What about the fruit-flavored yogurt? How many teaspoons in that one? That's 7. You go down to the soda. You think maybe the Pepsi's got too much because the Pepsi has 10 1/4. Well, you'll drink a soda instead. That has 13, an orange soda. And if you move on down our list on the next page, Mr. Misty Dairy Slush or whatever, Mr. Misty Slush, 28 teaspoons of sugar. Now, all these things have an impact on our immune system. Refined sugar is treated as a toxic foreign agent by the immune system, and as an illustration to show how much this is impacted, let's go back to 1964 to a study that was done way back then, and they were able to compare the amount of sugar eaten in teaspoons to the number of black bacteria that were destroyed by one white blood cell. So, if you're not eating any sugar, one white blood cell could destroy 14. If you're eating 6 teaspoons, like one soft drink, then it's down to 10. You increase that to 12, you go to 5.5. You go to a slice of cake, clear down to a banana split. If you're doing a banana split, you've depressed your immune system 14 times over, huh? So that's huge. So what we need to do is cut back on our sugar intake so our immune response is better. When do people seem to be sickest throughout the course of the year? I get that answer every time. Somehow we all know it. It's right after the holidays. Yes, right after the holidays. That's when we get sickest. Why do you think? Now we know why, huh? Okay, there are a lot of other studies that show that sugar depresses the immune system. That was just a beautiful one for illustration purposes. It also impacts our mental and emotional health. You know, sugar needs vitamin B1 to be properly metabolized. And when that is not available and your body's having to reach out and pull the vitamin B1 from other tissues of the body, then what happens is you will have incomplete processing of your sugars that occur. And so pyruvic acid will be one of those incomplete byproducts of this metabolism that's going on. And it goes out there and attacks your nerve endings, and, the linings of your blood vessels, and things like that. It gives you cardiovascular disease, causes neuropathy pain, and all kinds of other problems. So we need to help control these problems by making sure that we have the appropriate nutrients. But other mental and emotional disorders, do you know what the number one disorder that is treated in America today is? It's anxiety. Ever heard the phrase, people's hearts failing them for fear? There's also a biochemical basis in that problem. The panic attacks that people experience, all related to nutritional deficiencies. So anyway, irritability, manic depressive tendencies, frequent bouts of depression, difficulty concentrating, forgetfulness, lack of motivation, emotional outbursts, increased undependability, loss of enthusiasm and plans for projects, inconsistency in thoughts and actions. All these things sound like things that we can control by reducing our sugar content of our diet. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Personality changes, irrational thoughts, eating disorders. In fact, studies have shown that if you drink 2 cans of soda daily, now just those 2 cans of soda daily, all other things being equal, that will pack on you an additional 35 to 40 pounds over the course of a year. So you would think that one of the things we could do is switch over to diet drinks, right? Yeah, wrong. And why is that wrong? That's a big question. How could you how would a diet soda pack fat into your bodies when it's 0 calories? Well, contrary to popular belief, studies have found that artificial sweeteners such as aspartame stimulate your appetite, increase carbohydrate servings, and stimulate fat storage and weight gain. So if these foods are going to, these artificial sweeteners are going to cause us to gain weight, should that be part of our regime? How does this happen? Well, Dr. Barry Sears talks about first pass release of insulin, and it's really a pretty good explanation. What he says is that chemicals, when you take something into your mouth like that artificial sweetener, it causes your body to expect that food is coming. So down in the pancreas, it begins to release insulin. Insulin is released, blood sugar begins to drop, and you begin to feel weak and shaky. The food that your pancreas expected would be there is not there now. So as a result, the blood sugar drops. When your blood sugar drops, it triggers hunger hormones. And when you're hungry, what are you going to do? Eat. Sure, you're going to eat. And so that's part of the problem with artificial sweeteners. There's other problems associated with that. Now, some people seem to think, I go into a restaurant and I oftentimes hear people order these huge meals. And then they say, and a Diet Coke, please. Or a diet soda. I want a diet soda to go along with my meal. It's like we have an excuse to eat more if we drink a diet soda. So we have to watch that aspect as well. When you take something like a soda and you ingest it, it causes your blood sugar to spike. And then you will have a drop, and your blood sugar actually ends up being lower than it was before. So I initially have a lot of energy, and then there's two chemicals there, sugar and caffeine, that are going to cause me to feel weak and shaky in just a little bit. They picked me up, and now they're going to let me down. So when that happens, I hit the vending machine and get another snack. And that causes blood sugar to come back up. And then it drops again, and I feel weak and shaky. So I hit the vending machine again. And all day long, this cycle continues as I eat and eat and eat. So I eat these sugary foods, and I get lots of energy, and then I feel real weak. And then it drives me back to eating more sugary foods, and I have lots of energy, and then I feel real weak. And that cycle goes on and on throughout the course of the day. And it just becomes dangerous after a while. Most people eat much more sugars than their bodies could possibly use for energy. So, Dr. Otto Warburg was a Nobel Prize winner because back in 1931, he discovered that cancer cells actually use more sugar than the regular cells of your body. Cancer cells love an acidic environment, and a high sugar diet is an acidic environment as well. So we use that piece of knowledge to our advantage in the medical field. We send people down to a CT scan to see what their tumor growth is like. And when they get there, we infuse into their veins a solution of glucose, dextrose. And it's tagged with a radioactive dye. And that radioactive dye, when it gets under the CT scan, lights up everywhere the dye went. And the dye actually concentrates on all those in the tumor cells. And so you just, and you can see them. Great idea. And it was a well-deserved award he had. Dr. Keith Connors says, a deadly link was established between the consumption of sugar with carbohydrates such as breakfast cereal, cake, and biscuits, and with violent behaviors, hypertension, and learning impediments. We have an epidemic of problems with our young people today. They have ADHD, ADD, all kinds of designations out here, problems that are on them. And I see people all the time, especially in the emergency room, that come through and you ask them what their medications are. Oh, I'm on Ritalin, or I'm on, and they start naming off all these drugs, Adderall or whatever else, that's designed to help take care of this problem. My question is, why are you taking a drug to take care of a problem that probably greater than 9 chances out of 10 could be resolved if you simply changed your nutritional intake? So the question is, with all these problems associated with sugar, why do we still eat it? And I think the answer is simply Well, it's complicated. But part of it is that we listen to the messages we've been told, especially our children. Advertising industry has the largest advertising budget of any industry in the world. That being the case, they've also said we need to use our dollars wisely. We need to market those people that are most influenced by our ads. And who are they? Our children. And so we have situations occur like recently occurred in my home. We had some guests come to the house. Karen cooked them a nice meal, set it onto the table. They came to the table, I don't want to eat that. And they pulled out a 3-foot-long gummy worm and sat there through the whole dinner eating this 3-foot-long gummy worm. Is it any wonder they didn't want to eat that? Who bought them the gummy worm? Addiction. That's another reason. We're addicted to the stuff. And it also leads to feelings of fatigue and depression and moodiness, headaches and aching limbs, and we just feel bad all over. Is there a way out of it? How can I stop the addiction? Well, one of the first things we have to do is work on retraining our taste buds. Taste can be changed. It takes approximately 21 exposures to a new flavor to get used to it, but it will happen. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks. Fill up on fiber. Fiber gives you a lot of satiety. Fat gives you satiety. I'm not recommending you fill up on fat, but let's fill up on fiber. You're not going to get lots of calories out of the fiber. It provides satisfaction. Your sugar will not spike as high. It stays lower. Your blood sugar will stay lower if you fill up on fiber, but it'll last you longer. And you won't have such strong desires for sugary drinks if you're eating high fiber stuff. The next thing we can do is get exercise. People who exercise have an increased metabolism, and they will have more energy. They have a better sense of well-being, and it decreases insulin resistance as well. It also causes beneficial changes in our hormones and helps us be healthier overall. Now, I'm often asked about the healthy sugars. Well, we really need to skip the healthy sugars too, because these healthy sugars, for the most part, are just simply the white sugar that hasn't been bleached yet. They contain a few trace vitamins, minerals, not vitamins, but a few trace minerals yet that haven't been completely gotten rid of, but it's really not that much better. And if you don't buy it, if you don't put it in the grocery cart and it doesn't get into your house, it probably won't get into your body. Drink more water. People who drink water actually eat less. But again, thirst is often mistaken as hunger. And as we age, we lose our thirst drive. So make a conscious effort to do 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. I know some people, they get like a 3-liter jug, because that's about how much we're talking about. They'll get a 3-liter jug and they fill it up with water, and they take all their water out of that for the course of the day, so they know that they got their quota for the day. Good way to measure it. And also pray. I believe we can call on a creator God to help us solve some of life's most difficult problems. And if you're like me, a lot of life's most difficult problems are right here. And remember the verse in the Bible that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So in this section, what we've talked about sugar is a refined chemical. And when you use it in excess, it can lead to obesity. It depresses the immune system. It causes mental and emotional problems. And we also learned that drinks can cause weight gain, both regular sodas and artificially sweetened drinks as well can cause weight gain. But with God's help, we can break this sugar addiction and move on to a life of better health.